There are many important nutrients when it comes to mental health, but the following 5 are nutrients that you absolutely want to make sure you have down foundationally before you start adding on a bunch of other supplements for your anxiety or for your depression. Hi, I'm Jess. I'm a clinical nutritionist, and today's video is all about some foundational nutrients for anxiety and depression, and honestly, general overall health. See, while depression and anxiety have different physiological etiologies, and therefore the nutrients or deficiencies that apply to them can differ, the foundational nutrients that we're going to discuss today are ones that are overarching for most, if not all, mental health concerns. So let's get into it. So the first nutrient, or I suppose the first class of nutrients that we're going to talk about, are B vitamins. This is B vitamins and not a specific B vitamin that gets a lot of attention like B12 or folate, which they get that attention for very good reasons. But all B vitamins play a really critical role in neurological and mental health. The B vitamins are a collection of 8 water-soluble vitamins, each of which is generally a cofactor or precursor for key metabolic processes, which is why B vitamin deficiencies are often etiological factors in the development of neurological disorders, as well as a broad spectrum of other pathological states. What it means to be water soluble is essentially that these vitamins don't get stored in the body, and therefore we need to get a constant supply of them through our diet. Unfortunately, extended cooking or even food processing can destroy or significantly degrade water soluble vitamins and essentially reduce the bioavailability of them in your food. I could do a separate video on each B vitamin, the various processes they're involved in, and how that ultimately impacts your mental health, but just know that B vitamins are generally really important for the following: neurotransmitter synthesis, energy production, stress management, detoxification, and methylation. Speaking of methylation, which is a process that we're not going to get deep into today, some of you may have heard that you may need to take certain forms of B vitamins, and these are the ones that specifically refer to vitamin B12 and folate due to genetic variants where you may not be able to methylate these vitamins yourself. This is actually a pretty complicated and debatable topic, so I will make a separate video on this at some point and link it here. But the general recommendations is that these vitamins should be in an active form. That doesn't just mean that it has to be methylfolate or methylcobalamin. There are actually several different active forms. So some of these other ones besides methylcobalamin for B12, for example, would be hydroxycobalamin and adenosylcobalamin. And the ones that you want to avoid are ones that say cyanocobalamin or just cobalamin. The form that you're actually going to do best with is dependent on a lot of genetic factors, but just know that if you're taking a pretty good quality multivitamin, they're likely going to have one of these forms in there as opposed to the things that you want to avoid with B12, which would be that like cyanocobalamin, or folate, which would instead be folic acid. We don't want to have folic acid. But once again, while B12 and folate are super important, you definitely want to make sure that you're getting a spectrum of all the B vitamins to support your mood. The next vitamin, you may be like, of course, you don't need to tell me, let's move on. But let's just make sure that we're aware of some of the important considerations regarding this vitamin, which is vitamin D. So vitamin D is actually not a vitamin, it is a hormone that is produced in our skin in response to the sunlight, and then we can also get a little in the foods that we eat. The liver and the kidneys convert vitamin D that's either taken up through the sun or through our diet into the active hormone that then produces the various functions in our bodies. Some of those functions that have a significant impact on our mental health are serotonin production, brain function. We actually have vitamin D receptors all throughout the brain. Seasonal affective disorder, inflammation and oxidative stress, and of course, immune system modulation, all of which play a really important role in our mood. There is no lack of data to confirm that vitamin D plays a huge role in mood regulation. It's probably the most common nutrient deficiencies associated with depression, but it's also just one of the most common nutrient deficiencies in general. After working with people clinically for years, I've come to learn that people generally vastly overestimate how much vitamin D they may be getting from something like the sun and may vastly underestimate the amount of vitamin D that they need to be taking additionally. There are so many genetic factors that influence vitamin D uptake. So this is something that you do want to have tested on a regular basis, preferably like yearly, so that you can know where your vitamin D levels are at, and then you know how much you need to supplement with. While there are various opinions upon what the ideal range is, most people in kind of the natural medicine space generally shoot for 60 to 80 nanoliters being that optimal range. The next absolutely essential nutrient for anxiety or depression are omega-3 fatty acids. I have a whole video that goes really in depth on omega-3 fats, and while it's for depression, it absolutely applies to a broad spectrum of why it's so important for mental health. So if you want a lot more details on it, then definitely go check out that video. What you need to know is that omega-3 fats are essential fatty acids, so we have to get them through our diet. And we need these fats for brain function amongst many other things. They play a role in the structure and development of the brain. They're critically important for neurotransmitter synthesis, and then they're really important when it comes to either promoting a pro-inflammatory or anti-inflammatory state in the entire body. Omega-3 fats are anti-inflammatory, so we generally want more of these. And while these fats traditionally come from fatty fish, some people either don't like fish, don't eat a lot of it, and in that case, it would require a supplement like a fish oil supplement. The next foundational nutrient is magnesium. I also have a very in-depth video on magnesium and its role in anxiety that I'll put here, but just know that magnesium is important for so many physiological processes and factors. It is basically an enzyme in over 300 enzymatic processes in the body that require it to maintain homeostasis. And it's also been studied for overall mental health, not just anxiety, but low levels are also associated with depression as well. Magnesium is essential for neurotransmitter balance and stress reduction because it plays a huge role in the synthesis of GABA, which is our calming and inhibitory neurotransmitter in the central nervous system. Magnesium is additionally really important for sleep regulation, which is ultimately really going to impact your mood, as well as just reducing inflammation in the body. Chronic inflammation has been linked to the development of mood disorders. Unfortunately, it is very difficult to get enough magnesium through food. So magnesium is one of those like 4 nutrients along with other supplements like a multivitamin, fish oil, and the last one that we're going to talk about that people often take for like a maintenance or on a regular basis. And that last nutrient that we're going to talk about that people also often supplement with as well are probiotics. So probiotics aren't a vitamin or a mineral, but they are considered a nutrient. We do get some probiotics through food, like any type of fermented food, like sauerkraut or kimchi, or even drinks like kombucha. And then we also get prebiotics in certain types of vegetables and fruits that essentially feed our gut bacteria. But there are several reasons why taking an additional probiotic supplement can be very effective for mood disorders. One reason is that it supports the gut-brain axis, which is the bidirectional two-way communication system between the neurons embedded in your gut and essentially your central nervous system in your brain. Probiotics help maintain a healthy balance of gut bacteria, which ultimately influences this communication. Probiotics have also been shown to be beneficial for neurotransmitter production and can actually influence the production and availability of certain neurotransmitters in the brain like serotonin and dopamine and GABA. Probiotics also have an anti-inflammatory effect. They also may play a role in stress reduction via the HPA axis, and they're incredibly helpful for the production of what are called short-chain fatty acids. Short-chain fatty acids reduce inflammation in the gut and they support gut integrity. When we have better gut integrity, we are less likely to experience inflammation in the gut and therefore inflammation that ultimately travels to the brain via that gut-brain axis. So I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Which of any of these nutrients were you surprised by, or which of any of these nutrients do you not have down as a foundation yet? If you are interested in supplementing with any of the foundational nutrients that we discussed today, but maybe don't know where to start, then check out the video description where I'm gonna leave links to some of my favorite products for each of the nutrients we went over today below. If you found this video useful, then please give it a thumbs up and check out this video here that I'm gonna let YouTube recommend for you based off of everything that it knows about you. Let me know if it chose a good one, and I will see you next time.